Yeah, you started recording, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. How to love God. To love God in the most practical way is to love our fellow beings. If we feel for others in the same way as we feel for our own dear ones, we love God. If instead of seeing faults in others, we look within ourselves, we are loving God. If instead of robbing others to help ourselves, we rob ourselves to help others, we are loving God. If we suffer in the suffering of others and feel happy in the happiness of others, we are loving God. If instead of worrying over our own misfortunes, we think of ourselves more fortunate than many, many others, we are loving God. If you endure a lot with patience and contentment, accepting it as His will, we are loving God. If we understand and feel that the greatest act of devotion and worship to God is not to hurt or harm any of His beings, we are loving God. To love God as He ought to be loved, we must live for God and die for God, knowing that the goal of all life is to love God and to find Him as our own self. By Meher Baba, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you for that. And with that, we get into session 4 of our reading. We are done with 70 odd pages of the book. And the book is, of course, Gift of God. So, if anyone wants to read first, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll read for a while and then we can pick up from there. Avatar
Go
Meher
ahead, go ahead.
Baba Ki Jai. Chapter 7. The quotes, if we start with the quote, the only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. Meher Baba. That's, of course, from the seven realities. When I had first joined Baba at the ashram in Bangalore, I was not physically at my best, and I was emotionally drained from working with the children at school. I knew that being with Baba and staying in the ashram would again lift me. Just being with him was enough. Then, 2 days after I arrived, he called me for our first private talk. Baba communicated with gestures for his general needs, but when he wanted to have a conversation or say something specific, he used an alphabet board. Although many of his gestures were easy to understand, I could read the board only very slowly. There is a photograph, and I believe, no, this is from Pune. There are many photographs of Baba in the Bangalore ashram. So I believe this could be the Pune Baba house. Uh, and that's Baba with the alphabet board. I also keep wondering that how difficult it would be to read because I've tried to mock this and it's not easy. So I think Eruch had mastered it. And of course, Baba then moved to gestures. Let's continue. Being alone with Baba was unusual in itself, but I was completely unprepared for what he spelled out on the board. Would you like to marry? I replied, no, Baba. I don't want to marry because I want to love and serve only you. Baba then said, to love me and serve me is great, but to obey me is the greatest. So will you obey me and do what I tell you? I replied, yes, Baba. He asked, if I tell you to, will you marry? Growing uneasy but having no choice, I again said yes to Baba. He then asked me, do you know the story of Meera? I told Baba I knew a little about her. Baba said Meera did not wish to marry because she wanted only to love Krishna and to renounce the world. But because Krishna told her to marry, she did. So likewise, will you marry if I want you to? With downcast eyes, I said, Yes, Baba. Baba then said to me, Will you marry the man I tell you to marry? Suppose I tell you to marry Nariman. Will you marry him? In obedience, I said, Yes, Baba, even though in my heart of hearts, I wanted to live a single life devoted only to him. Then, to comfort me because he knew what anguish his questions were putting me through, Baba ended our conversation saying, I am not going to tell you to marry. I was just asking you. Ever since my early teens, I had longed for a life of renunciation. My young mind believed that the only way to think solely of God was to lead an ascetic life, and I would daydream of the distant Himalayas where yogis and sannyasins lived lives of renunciation for God. My longing had increased all the more after Baba had opened the floodgates and drowned me in love for him on his birthday 2 years earlier. After that experience, my reverie became so profound that I lost interest in all around me. I would go through the activities of my daily life, but my yearnings within me, I would go through the activities of my daily life, but my yearnings within tore me apart. And I was deeply moved by ghazals and Meera bhajans. My desire to love only Baba was so intense that the idea of marriage did not appeal to me at all. By now, however, Baba had taught me to obey him, to do what he wanted, no matter what my desires might be. To say the words, Yes, Baba, is relatively easy. But to accept what he asks of us wholeheartedly is difficult. Although feelings are beyond our immediate control, we must try our best to accept what Baba wants for us. And over time, he will in turn help us with our feelings. This doesn't necessarily mean we succeed quickly, but he gives us as much as we can take at one time, then gradually gives us a little more. Though we may think what he asks of us is beyond our endurance, his love eases our pain. He told me, I'm not going to tell you to marry. I was only asking you. In this way, beloved Baba eased my heart, as he knew I wasn't yet ready to accept the idea of being married. He gave me the time I needed to adjust to that possibility. One evening, shortly after returning to Bombay, I was gazing out the window at the sky when I was overcome by a strong urge. I did not want anything or anybody but Baba. The feeling was agonizing. Suddenly, a powerful, blinding flash of light enveloped me. This light was so strong that I felt as if I were suffocating, and I had to close my eyes because I could not tolerate the brightness. My heart cried out, Oh Baba, Baba. From deep within me, I heard a voice saying, You couldn't even bear this light now, so there is still time. With this experience, beloved Baba made me realize that no matter how strongly we feel or how deeply we may want something, we may not be ready. Only He can gauge our readiness and give us what we need at the appropriate time. Although I still felt the usual longing to be in Baba's physical presence, I felt calm and resigned. Baba had told me to leave my teaching job because it was a great strain on me. But as my family needed financial help, I still had to work. I found an interesting job at a veterinary hospital looking after the dogs and birds. The job provided living quarters, a nice cozy two-room flat. This was the first time that I had lived separately from my parents, and I came to feel that this arrangement was given to me by Baba to help me develop independence. I worked at the veterinary hospital for only a year because in January of 1942, Baba called me to travel with him and a few of the men and women Mandali to Dehradun in northern India. We began the journey from Mehrabad and traveled by train in a special reserved compartment. I stayed with Baba for 3 months, from January through March, and it was a time of many special events. Among them was Baba's birthday, which we celebrated with only our small group. We were given a special treat of sherbet drinks and omelets. At that time, the Mandali were not allowed to eat eggs, so everyone, especially, enjoyed this party. Another time, we went to see movies about Krishna and Ram. It was a unique privilege to be in the theater with Baba, the living God, while watching the stories of two of his previous incarnations on the screen. We were still in Dehradun for Holi, a Hindu festival. Baba had a pit dug in the backyard, had it filled with wood, and then he lighted a fire. Holi, which has mythological significance, traditionally celebrates the heralding of spring, also commemorating God's triumph over the forces of darkness. As the holy fire is lighted, the darkness is symbolically consumed by the flames. I didn't know the meaning behind Baba's conducting this event, but it took place during the war, just after the United States became involved in the European theater. This is 1942. So, yeah. During the war, Calcutta was threatened by the Japanese and Karachi by the Germans. Okay, she means Japanese and Pakistan. During the war, Calcutta was threatened by the Japanese and Karachi's. What? Something's wrong in the statement. During the
No,
war,
no, no.
Calcutta.
See, the Karachi was part of British India, and Germans was against British, right?
Correct.
So that is why they attacked Karachi, and
Yeah,
even Japanese were against the fighting against the British, correct?
correct. But then if you
So
look at the sentence here, during the war, Calcutta was threatened, fine, by the Japanese, fine,
hmm,
and Karachi by the Germans. Okay. Sorry, I read it
yeah,
back. I read
yeah,
it wrongly.
that's
During
what
the
it
war,
means.
Calcutta was threatened by the Japanese and Karachi by the Germans. And of course, it's
Yes,
like you rightly said, United
yeah.
India, and both were on the
British,
correct. Both were the
yeah,
Axis powers attacking us. Yeah,
yeah.
Japanese and Germans. Baba received letters from his lovers in both Calcutta and Karachi asking if they should leave their homes and move elsewhere. Baba told them to stay where they were. Later, he said to us, if there is a fire in the east, people will run to the west, and if there is a fire in the north, people will run to the south. But if there is fire all around, where will the people go? Baba is with us wherever we are, and whatever is to happen will happen no matter where we are. Baba also told us India will lead the whole world spiritually, and for that, she will have to suffer the most. He said that in order for India to fulfill this role, she would have to be free and independent. Later that same year, in August, Baba showed us how God, in his human form, takes an active part in all of his creation, including politics. He ordered Chanji to distribute his discourses on violence, non-violence, and war at an important meeting in Bombay of the Quit India movement, which was 1942, by the way, the purpose of which was to end the British rule. This meeting was to be attended by all the great Indian freedom fighters and leaders, including Nehru and Gandhi, two men whose lives were dedicated solely to service without any desire for material gain. While en route by ship to England in 1931, Baba had granted an interview to Gandhi, who was on his way to the Round Table Conference in London. Chanji took some of his men disciples to help him make sure the main leaders received copies of Baba's discourses after the meeting was over. Chanji himself stood near Nehru's car and was able to place a pamphlet in his hands. Nehru, a gracious man, accepted it with a nod, and Chanji saw him look at Baba's photo on the cover. Soon after, all these leaders were imprisoned, and Nehru was held at Ahmednagar Fort. After tremendous suffering and struggle, India won freedom from British rule just 5 years following Baba's distribution of the pamphlets. Although great violence and bloodshed occurred with the partition of India and the creation of Pakistan, India's achieving non-violent independence from British rule was unusual, especially for such a large country. Jawaharlal Nehru, Jawahar means jewel, became the first Prime Minister of India. 18 years later, in May 1965, Nehru died while still in office. Tens of thousands of people joined the procession carrying his body from his home to the cremation ground. The ceremony, which lasted for hours, was broadcast and Baba listened to it on All India Radio. Ordinarily, Baba would listen to the radio only for short periods, but that day he sat through the entire program, listening intently. Later that evening, Baba said, "There won't be a man like Nehru for another 700 years." Baba's statement made us realize what a tremendous impact a great soul like Nehru has on the world. It was during this time in Dehradun that Baba gave us a discourse explaining the intricate workings of his creation, discussing with us a pamphlet, Meditation on the Divine Theme, that he had distributed to his Mandali and close lovers in November or December of the previous year, with instructions to read it for half an hour every day. When Baba asked the Western women Mandali what they had understood of the pamphlet, a few tried to explain but struggled because the material was rather difficult. I had not understood what I had been reading either. Then Baba explained it
You
to.
can try to search this pamphlet maybe later.
Yeah. So it must be early versions of the divine theme,
Yeah.
but we can
Yes, in
search it.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not maybe.
So this would be either in the God Speaks or Discourses or is separate.
No, separate. So Baba published the divine theme as a separate book. So yeah, so theme of creation and its purpose after the essay.
I think.
Oh, so it's there. It's there in the supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there in the supplement.
Of the Divine Theme book.
No. It's there in the supplement of God Speaks. So
Okay.
yeah. Oh, no. Hold on. Theme of creation and its purpose after the essay in which. Okay. So it is meditation in which. Okay. This is confusing. Divine theme. So I think this is just an early version
Yeah.
of the divine theme, which is a booklet, which you might have seen.
Yeah.
The small
I
one.
have it also. Yeah, small
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's reproduced. The divine theme is fully reproduced in the God Speaks anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first time anybody reads divine theme, it's tough to grasp. Now I get it, right? So it's because it's contra to many things that we have taken for granted as students of science, as people who are familiar with spirituality from an Indian perspective. There are so many things that are different, and um, I would say disclosed first time or exposed first time, right? So in that sense, I can imagine. Okay. Then Baba explained it to us in such a clear and simple manner that it suddenly seemed easy to grasp and was immediately impressed upon my mind. Baba spoke of a calm and quiet ocean, saying that the ocean was God who was in a sound sleep. One day, the ocean was stirred by a whiff of wind and awoke from sleep, saying, "Who am I?" No sooner had it asked the question than an unlimited number of drops were flung on the shore far from the ocean. These drops, separated from the ocean, became individual souls, and each soul in turn asked the question, "Who am I?" And that is how evolution started. Each drop first took the form of gaseous matter, then evolved to various forms of stone, metal, plant, and animal until it reached the human form. Evolution then ended and reincarnation began. Baba told us that the drop soul has to take form 8,400,000 times, and as it travels through all these experiences, it comes nearer and nearer the ocean. Eventually, it begins its final journey, which Baba called involution, across the seven planes of consciousness that will reunite it with the ocean. When it comes to the sixth plane, it stands face to face with God, the ocean. But here is a deep, deep chasm that is extremely difficult and painful to cross. When the soul succeeds in crossing this chasm, it reaches the seventh plane and merges back into the ocean, becoming one with it and realizes, I am the ocean that is God. As Baba concluded this discourse, I was amazed by the enormity of his revelation. I knew about reincarnation even though it was not part of the Zoroastrian religion, but Baba had just laid the entire theme of creation before us, and it was absolutely awe inspiring. During our stay in Dehradun, Baba made plans for all of us to go to Rishikesh in northern India, where many yogis and sannyasins lived. I was so happy that I was finally going to see the type of place that I yearned for inwardly. Much to my disappointment, however, Baba changed his plans and I did not get to go. Even more disappointing was hearing later that after my departure, Baba had taken the men and women Mandali, including my sister Nargis. Much later, I accepted that it would not have been good for me to be in that atmosphere. Baba had a life in the world planned for me and wanted me to discover that true renunciation was quite different from what I yearned for. Again, contextually, this could be the Dehradun visit followed by Haridwar and Rishikesh, which is not this could be, this is, which is of course referred in detail in Wayfarers. Near the end of March, after I had been in Dehradun with Baba for nearly 3 months, he called me to his room and showed me an advertisement in the newspaper. He said, I want you to join this auxiliary nursing service. Go back to Bombay and take your training. In high school, I had very much wanted to serve the sick and poor by becoming a nurse, but my mother would not allow me to consider nursing. Therefore, I had asked Baba if I could be a teacher. Now, Baba was fulfilling my original desire in giving me an opportunity to be a war nurse. Nurses training usually takes 4 years, but this program taught only the fundamentals necessary for work in a military hospital. It was a hard, rigorous 3 month crash course. I went back to Bombay, was accepted into the ANS, and for the practical part of the training, worked with British soldiers. After completing the course that September, I was put on reserve. One could choose from three types of service: local, all India, or overseas. Baba had told me to sign up for local service, and he had also said, see that you don't have night duty. At the time, it didn't strike me how impossible that order was. Nurses are always given night duty. But when Baba gave that instruction, I just said, yes, Baba. I was learning that when one simply said, yes, Baba, without thought or worry, he took care of everything. While I was waiting to be called for duty, Baba asked me to come to Lonavala, where he was staying with the men and women Mandali. At that time, Baba had Uncle Chanji writing his biography in Gujarati, and I had been helping by recopying the rough drafts of his writing. He was working on his he was working on this book mainly in Bombay because he needed quiet, which the close quarters of the ashram did not provide. Uncle Chanji asked Baba to keep me for only a short while and then send me back to Bombay as my help was essential. Until December, I went back and forth between Lonavala and Bombay, spending a fortnight at each place. During this time, I was regularly seeing Nariman, who had settled in Bombay after returning to India. Although he wanted to start a business of his own, he was only 26 and knew he needed some experience. So he took a position for a year with a good English firm, Imperial Chemical Industry, which dealt in his field of interest. After working there for only a year, Nariman was approached by a friend who recognized his ability and asked him to form a partnership. With Nariman's knowledge and his friend's money, they set up a business, American Color and Chemical Company, importing materials from foreign countries and selling them on the Indian market. Within 2 years, the business was doing fairly well, but the partner wanted to leave Bombay, so Nariman became the sole owner. He used his share of the profits to expand the business and worked very hard, 7 days a week. In spite of having started with no money of his own, Nariman quickly became well established in the industry and was able to bring his mother and brothers from Karachi to settle in Bombay. His youngest brother was still in school, but he took his other two brothers into the business, looking after the family like a father. Nariman and I had remained close friends, but now he wanted to marry me. Although I knew what a brilliant and practical man he was, and I admired his integrity and enjoyed his friendship, I was still not interested in marriage. Yet I knew I could not push Nariman away. Baba had planted this hesitation in me with his words in Bangalore, asking me if I would marry someone he chose, and specifically if I would marry Nariman if he told me to. Then, just before I went to Lonavala in September, Nariman showed me a letter he had written to Baba in which he had asked permission to marry me. Remembering Baba's words, I allowed Nariman to send the letter. I knew that Baba would do exactly as he wanted. When Baba next called me to Lonavala, he very casually asked me if I had seen the letter Nariman had written. I said that I had, and immediately Baba said, I will fix the date of your engagement. He gestured that he would put the rings on our fingers, then quickly walked away, leaving me standing there alone on the veranda. I was distraught that Baba did not say anything more to me about his decision. But although it was difficult for me to accept what he wanted, I knew that if I surrendered to his will, Baba would help me. Later, I realized how he had blessed Nariman and me in giving us the opportunity to love and serve him through marriage in a way that neither of us could have done separately. Beloved Baba gave me a husband who was unique among men, selfless, faithful, and very loving. But my appreciation came after I was leading my married life. Baba soon sent me back to Bombay to help Uncle Chanji, but I was so despondent that it was difficult for me to carry on. Although I was willing to do anything Baba wanted, the idea of marriage still disturbed me greatly. I would come to know that in asking me to marry, Baba was beginning the process of showing me that real renunciation was to live in the world and not to be of it. But at that time, I did not have this understanding. It could come only from Baba's throwing me headlong into all the activities and duties that a worldly life required. Baba had put me in an agonizing situation, but because I accepted his will silently, he showered me with his love and compassion. One day, while resting on my bed with my eyes closed, I had an amazing vision that changed everything and brought me great comfort. In the vision, Nariman and I were acting on a stage. Though there were many people in the audience, I saw only Baba and Mehra. In the first scene, I was playing the part of Meera, dressed in a beautiful white sari spangled with silver stars. I was seated in a chair by the side of Nariman, who played the king. The first scene faded into the second, in which Nariman and I lived in a palace, completely involved in our worldly obligations. Although the true focus of our lives was Baba. In the third and final scene, the background was a forested area in the mountains, and I was dressed in a plain saffron colored sari. I walked alone in the forest singing one of my favorite Meera bhajans, in which she says, Now I have come to you, my beloved God. No one can stop me from coming to you, my beloved. As the vision ended, I was still singing, and it was as though Baba had said to me, Your desire to lead a life of renunciation will not be taken away from you. It will be a gift to you after you have played out your role for me in the world. This life has to be. You have to pass through an ordinary, normal married life. I felt great peace as I accepted Baba's wish and will. Any guesses on what that song is? The Meera Bhajan. The lines are, now I have come to you, my beloved God. No one can stop me from coming to you, my beloved. Anyway, just curious.
Could it be Mara Re Girdhar Gopal Dusra Na Koi?
No, not
No,
literally
no,
that.
no.
Not literally translating to that.
Sanjay, any idea?
I'm not getting it immediately. Let us think.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure he's thinking. Yeah, cool. I had wanted to accept Baba's will wholeheartedly, but did not have the capacity to do so. Because my desire to please him was strong and sincere, Baba helped me with the gift of this vision. I had been so disinterested in our engagement that I didn't even feel like buying an appropriate sari to wear for the occasion. I had decided I would just wear an ordinary sari, but now I knew Baba would want me to play my given role to the fullest. I was to be engaged, and that meant I must dress befitting the occasion. While looking for my engagement sari, I saw in a shop window a white tulle sari, tulle or tulle, or with small silver stars and spangles embroidered on it, identical to the one I had worn in the vision. I went into the store and ordered the sari immediately, knowing that Baba had provided it for me to wear on our wedding day. Unfortunately, the peace and calm that followed the vision Baba gave me did not last. He helped me to accept his wish for me to live a normal married life, but I still felt restless. Baba knew that more than acceptance was necessary, he wanted me to feel love for Nariman, so he had to instill that love within me. Early one morning, as I was lying awake and taking Baba's name, I had a second vision. Nariman, dressed in a white shirt with a necktie, came and sat by my side. He said he was on his way to Mehrabad for Baba's darshan, as Baba had written him a letter telling him to come. Nariman said, I'm going to the station now and have come to say goodbye to you. Open your eyes. In the vision, my eyes were closed, but I could see him, and I said, Nariman, I can see you. He said, but your eyes are closed. I replied, yes, but I can still see you. Nariman bent down to embrace me before leaving, and I was overwhelmed by the fragrance and purity emanating from him. At that moment, a portion of the pure love in my heart for beloved Baba was transferred to Nariman for our coming marriage and life together. Okay, Gift of God, the 8th chapter. Can we rotate the reading now? Maybe that's a good point to do that. Yes, time wise. Ashok ji, you want to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Chapter 8. Accept with love what I give with love. Meher Baba. Before I knew that Baba would ask me to marry Nariman, I had ordered a ring with Baba's name engraved on it that I could wear always. When Baba set our engagement date, Nariman said he wanted one with the same pattern, so he ordered an identical ring for him. On 21st December 1942, I dressed in a traditional red sari for our engagement ceremony. Margaret Krask, an English ballet teacher who had been staying in Baba's ashram for a number of years and had become a good friend, helped me with the finishing touches and did my makeup. Nariman, his family, and my family had come to Lonavala, where Nargis and I were already staying with Baba. Everyone gathered in the men Mandli's bungalow, and Baba brought me from the women's bungalow along with Pila Mai, Gohar's aunt, and Nargis. While Nariman and I stood in front of Baba, He put the rings on our fingers and embraced us. He placed a garland around we placed a garland around Baba's neck and embraced him. After Baba had given his darshan to all those present, Nariman and both of our families returned to Bombay, and Baba took me, Piramai, and Nargis back to the women's bungalow. The day before our engagement, I had given the gifts that Nariman had and I had brought for Baba, Mehra and money. For Mehra, I had chosen a white tulle sari delicately embroidered with gold and silver, a blouse and sandals, and a small gold chain necklace from which hung the words Meher Baba in red and blue enamel. Baba, please said that Mehra would wear this new outfit on her birthday. The next morning, Baba and the rest of us left Lonavala for Mehrabad on the blue bus. This year, for the first time, Baba had planned a grand celebration for Mehra's birthday to be held on 28th December. He also arranged a secret meeting of 100 Baba lovers to take place during the same week, choosing 99 men and only one woman, Margaret Krask, to attend. The Mandli worked hard on the preparations, knowing that the meeting was very important to Baba. But a sudden violent storm came up and the large tent that had been erected at Lower Mehrabad collapsed. There seemed to be insufficient time to rebuild it. Baba, already upset because Mehra had developed a cold and fever, said, Maya is coming in my way. The tent is down. Mehra is ill. I am going to cancel the meeting. Baba's cousin, Pendu, who with Padri had been in charge of putting up the tent, was in tears. He begged Baba not to cancel the meeting, saying that they would do their best to fix the tent. Everyone pitched in, and by the next day the tent was back up, and Baba held the meeting. Although Nariman was one of those chosen to attend, to this day I have no idea what it was all about. After we had been in Mehrabad for a few days, Baba called me to Mehra's room, where they gave me presents for my engagement. All the gifts were in blue embroidered cloth bag with a wooden handle. One by one, Baba showed me the presents, including a lovely photo of him in a 8 by 10 silver frame, a small compact for powder and rouge with a watch on the outside, and a scarf. Then put them back in the bag and gave it to me. Baba also gave me a pair of gold earrings and a blue sari with a green border which had belonged to Mehra. He told me that he had not previously given away any clothes which had been worn by Mehra and that I was fortunate to receive the sari. I felt blessed by these expressions of Baba's and Mehra's love. On the evening of Mehra's birthday celebration, Baba called me to her room, and said, help Mehra put on the sari and dress her with style. This was the first time I had seen her wearing elegant clothing as she had always dressed very simply. In her new white today sari, she looked stunning, quite unlike the shy, retiring Mehra of the ashram. I couldn't take my eyes off her celestial beauty. After helping Mehra dress, I went back to the room where I was staying, and some of the other women asked why Baba had called me. When I said I had helped Mehra put on her sari, everyone was quite surprised, as in those days she was kept secluded even from other women mandali. She remained in her room most of the time, and Baba would allow no one except money to touch her. I knew then that dressing Mehra had been something quite special, and I had marked this event as one of the ways in which Baba was gradually revealing the connection between Mehra and me.
Mahu, are you trying to say something?
Oh no, actually, I just noticed that I did not mute my mic. But No, I
Okay,
didn't.
no problem. We're reading Gift of God, I think, if you're coming for the first time. Yeah.
No, it's not first time.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I know this
Ash-
stuff, but yes,
Ashok
I
ji.
know. But
Yeah, I'll
sure.
continue.
Yeah, please.
This whole occasion had felt like a Sarvas with Baba gathering us women around him in Mera's room during the day. Close disciples from Pune and Bombay had been invited to attend the 4 day celebration, with the women meeting in Upper Mehrabad and the men at Lower Mehrabad for their own programs. On the evening of Mehra's birthday, everyone, men and women, dressed in their best and assembled in Upper Mehrabad for a Qawwali program. Mehra and women Mandali enjoyed the singing from behind a screen, placed in front of the tin shed. This special celebration was a beautiful and intimate time with beloved Baba. Usually, the women were not allowed to step outside the walls that surrounded the ashram on Mehrabad Hill. But one evening, Baba took us out to the gate and we stood together near the old water tank. Pointing toward Lower Mehrabad, he said, "A day will come when there will be a township down there." Extended his hand to the far right, showing us where a river would flow, offering us a tiny glimpse of his infinite knowledge. Next day, we were all assembled in Mehra's room, and Baba talked with us again, saying, "I am the last avatar in this present cycle of 24, therefore the greatest and most powerful. I have the attributes of five. I am as pure as Zoroaster, as truthful as Ram, as mischievous as Krishna, as gentle as Jesus, and as fiery as Muhammad."
Anybody
Can we
knows?
pause a little bit?
Yeah,
This
sure.
one I've read it before. This is very profound. What Baba has said here.
Yeah,
I know what else he mentioned about um, carrying all the attributes of previous avatars like that.
true. Um,
Yeah,
so fiery as Muhammad because he was, I mean, I think in the involved in a lot of wars in the region. Gentle, of course, gentle as Jesus, pure as Zoroaster, because yes, the earliest messages were so simple, and I think it's also to do with the times that each of the avatars came, as Baba said. It's to do with their dominant um, personalities were based on what was required by his creation at that time, right?
exactly. So
Yeah,
when some people judge Muhammad particularly, or maybe Jesus, this was what it was needed to be done. That's why it
exactly,
came down. Yeah. This
absolutely.
part I don't understand. I'm sorry that it says in this present cycle of 24. Which cycle of 24 is talking about? I know it's the end of the cycle of cycle, but I wasn't sure where the 24 were coming from.
Good catch, actually. Yeah, I have also not seen the number 24 associated with the cycles. I thought it was seven or no, it was 700 or 1400 years, but I don't know
Yeah,
24.
it's yeah, that's a duration of the cycle.
Correct, correct. This
Like
is
Baba says,
number.
yeah, 700, like next time it is 700. But yeah, so it's all together probably, I don't know, probably from the day one up to the last avatar is the 24 cycles.
Hmm.
24 into 700, that's a lot of time. But just allow me to tell you, just one thought I want to tell you is that, there's talking about Mehrabad becoming a great pilgrimage center. So there is going to be a much more importance. People are, I mean, it's visualized that Mehrabad will become a a world pilgrimage center where we'll have many more people thronging into Mehrabad in the coming years.
Yeah, there are actually this code here also is set in Lord Meher. Also, there is another place that Baba has said that there will be a time where it gets so crowded. It will be another Jerusalem. It will be another Jerusalem, and um, jets, private jets come and land in there, Lower Mirabot. People are going to come and then go. It's going to get very crowded and busy, Baba said. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that would be during when, how the trust plans at some time put that superstructure around the Samadhi. You heard about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, perhaps I don't know their timing. When are they going to do it? I know that there are several architects in Bobohold that they came up with a plan and a sketch and blueprint as to how it could look like. And they offered it, they actually presented to the trust, and nothing has agreed upon, not yet. But I would imagine when it gets really more and more crowded, then they will start doing the superstructure, and Samadhi wouldn't be as available as now that we have.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good
yeah.
for yeah.
So
The superstructure project is exactly showing the same thing. You're not getting into the samadhi. Pass in and just pass out. Just see it
yeah,
from outside and go out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. The new
So
that report keeps. Yeah, this is the report I see. Yeah,
yeah, this is the one. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? This is the sketch how
this is
like a big
money
dome.
vision. Yeah.
That's her vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna
If
be
you
like
if you
what
go down,
other
they have
things
shown. You go
Yeah.
down, they have shown the path of movement of people.
So this is how it look
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
The
this is
current
Yes.
Ted
Samadhi
Judson's
inside.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, right. This is really revealing.
Yeah. So they are
So
actually getting feedback. So feel free to those of you with architectural knowledge. So that's the
Yeah, this
route
is the
that
one.
we
You
saw.
see?
The
Yeah, the
round
route.
that we
Yeah.
saw is this one, and the inner small dot is the samadhi. So you get some
yeah,
context.
you
Yeah.
see how
Yeah.
the pathway are,
In and
Yeah.
out.
in out, in
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but you could see how many pathway are there because it's going to be super crowded. So probably those things are needed, those pathways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your audio is not as good as it's usually. Maybe you're not plugged
Oh,
in
you know
earphones.
why? Because
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
here it
have
shows.
my
Yeah.
video on again. Let me.
Sure.
Okay, how's that now?
Much better.
Is it better? Yeah,
Much better.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh, so this
usually that
is
happens when I have other things running. Mhm.
okay. So this is
Yeah.
what's happening here. In and out.
Mhm.
This is
So by the way, I picked this up from the trust website where they have published this seeking responses. So I think response
Yeah, yeah.
was
See, revised May 2024. Did you
yeah,
see
yeah,
that?
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
pretty
saw that.
current.
Yes, I saw that. But
Mhm.
though the link has been out before Amartiti, as Mahu noticed, it's May 24 revision of this document. But I think there was a date that I saw somewhere where by submitting electronically.
Yeah, yeah, go up. There's
by
one date here,
December
December 31,
31st.
2025. Just if you come down, I
Yeah,
can see here.
all submissions should be received. Yeah. Okay, so
Wow.
architects, get to it, and add to this body of work, which is going to be momentous. and let's make something befitting the beloved, right?
See, there is a committee. This is a called Superstructure Committee. I'm sure Ted Judson is part of it.
Mhm.
People with architect knowledge
Yeah.
already are there.
Gopi is also part of that. Gopi Krishnan.
Gopi, yeah.
Yeah.
Does he know
Told me.
architect? Hmm. So, they do their job. There's nothing we can do, but or contribute. I'm sure, well, I know I can't. I don't have architectural knowledge. But one thing we need to really keep in mind at these times that we're in now, it's golden
Yes.
because samadhi is so available,
Yes.
especially in a non hot season one, like like between July 10th all the way to next event and next event, and it's very during the day especially, sometimes
Yes.
one or two. It's really good. So
No, no, no.
now is
So I'm so glad that I uh, see pre-COVID it was even more available, right? So and you had very few restrictions during the day on being inside the samadhi and so on. So
yeah.
I'm glad that I used some slack in my work life in the first year of coming to Baba to go repeatedly for so many times, 14 times actually in a year.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. So
Wonderful.
I really uh, got. I did not realize that I was making the best of my slack as well as the general availability of the samadhi. And yeah, it's all Baba's plan anyway. Hi, Ravi.
Yeah, it's
Hi,
all
Baba.
Baba's invitation. With Samadhi, that's my experience. And India, well, particularly for us that we need to travel at least 24 hours and so forth, it's definitely his invitation.
Oh,
If it's
absolutely.
not there, it's not going to happen. I know people who have come halfway and then Baba send them back. Anyway,
Oh, no, that
yeah.
happened to me as well. So there was one time, I think it was Baba's birthday or one of the times where I had everything done. It was all suited up for travel. And then I had something happen which made me cancel. And it was so painful for me to cancel. It's unbelievable. So, and it's happened multiple times after that, where work pressures have made me I have had to cancel after making plans. But yeah, it's very painful every time, like it is to leave Mehrabad after even a couple of days. So when you leave, it's like, oh my God, we're leaving, right? So it's tough. Okay, so do we want to
Absolutely.
continue?
Karthik, there is a magnetism at Mehrabad.
Yes. We can rotate the reading. So, any one of you, Mahu, Ravi, or Sanjay, who want to read for a few minutes, we can rotate now.
Yeah. Let me read a
Well,
page
I
or
can
so.
go ahead.
Okay, after that, you can
Ravi
read.
do, and then
Yeah.
I can read.
I'll read just a couple of pages. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Baba sent me back to Bombay, showered with love, gifts, and beautiful memories of my time with him and Mehra. As soon as I arrived home, I received a call from ANS to start work. I signed a year's contract beginning in February 1943 and began nursing Indian soldiers in a military hospital. After 2 months of working the day shift, I was assigned night duty for the following fortnight. Remembering Baba's order not to work night duty, I was in a dilemma. I couldn't possibly refuse, as nurses are always expected to work whatever shifts they are assigned, and I was under contract. I said desperately, Baba, I don't know what to do. Please help me to carry out your order. In a few days, the matron called me her office and told me there was no need for me to go on night duty as she had given it to someone else. For 6 months, I was never assigned the night shift again. When we leave it all to Baba, he takes care of everything. Despite the fact that Nariman and I were now engaged, and Baba had given me such beautiful visions of our future life together, I continued to struggle with my attachment to the idea that true renunciation meant withdrawing from the world to become completely lost in the longing for God. I wrote long letters to Baba about my difficulties.
Hey, Sanjay, let's go back to the previous experience. There is a powerful sentence here. The last sentence, when we leave
Yeah,
it all to Baba, he takes care of
yes,
everything.
yeah, very powerful.
Baba explained somewhere else, I don't know where. If you leave everything to me, but we should be ready to accept how the things turn out. We should not
Mm,
get involved saying that I want this result, I want that result. That way, it doesn't work. If we
yeah,
leave it to Baba, he knows the best for us. And Baba said, I will take up. Whenever you leave me anything wholeheartedly, I will take it up. But you be in a position to accept in whatever the outcome is. That's what
yeah,
Baba
yeah,
said
yeah.
in previous.
Yes, yes, yes. We leave it to him, but we still expect that this is the way Baba would help me.
Yeah.
That expectation always is there, looking for a favorable outcome from Baba.
Yeah.
So leaving it all to Baba is complete surrenderance without even expecting what Baba would do. So
Hmm.
that's very difficult actually. When we are desperate, we all do that. Actually, I like last 1 year, I have at least a few instances like that where I was lost. I mean, really. But of course,
And
yeah,
there's
Baba.
also the bottom paragraph. This is also very important if we pay attention. And, she says, I continued to struggle with my attachment to the idea that true renunciation meant withdrawing from the world to become completely lost. Become, where are you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
No, I was reading that to be completely lost. Let me finish the sentence.
Yeah.
Where are we? No.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's bottom of this. It was bottom of this.
Oh, bottom
Uh-huh.
of this. Okay.
Yeah. I was to become completely lost in longing for God. See, this is actually a thing that a lot of Baba lovers have had. So I'm interested to know how Baba addressed that about these difficulties because, as you know, Nariman and Arnawaz's marriage was an arranged marriage by Baba. Uh, Arnawaz did not want to, never thought about getting married, neither she wanted to. But because it was Baba's order for them to get married, they married. But now she's talking about some of her struggles.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
that's
yes. That's
very
the general belief because we struggle so much that we want to separate ourselves from what is happening around us, be aloof, secluded, not to interact with people. So, but Baba's way is that you be in the world but not be of it. So, and that prescription is basically person to person. That's a general thing, but to the extent that you must do is person to person actually. So it's very very
that's true. That's
individualistic.
true.
How much you withdraw, how much you engage. Some people are too engaged. Some people are partly engaged. Some people are very aloof. So that depends on where are you on the journey. That's what
That's
my
right.
take is. Yeah,
That's right.
So talking
And
of
this is one of the reasons that some of the Westerners actually moved to India, particularly Mehrabad, and lived there for many, many years. Ever
yes,
since 1972, they started coming, one by
yeah,
one by one. But now, as you know, Baba has changed it drastically. There's the issue of visa. They can't be in Lower Mehrabad anymore if they don't have Indian passport and da da da. So Baba has just made things upside down. Well, that's his plan. So anyway,
yeah.
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 So I was just reminded of something I saw yesterday. I'll post it on the group as well. Maybe you saw it already, Mahu. There was a beautiful program that I've not seen the whole thing yet, on John of the Cross and Meher Baba, right, on Baba Zoom. So I was
Mm.
reminded multiple times in the reading today about that, because he talks about renunciation and ashram. Basically, monk and monastery, and the correlation between Baba's message of lover and the beloved, and the domination of divine love, in a way, to an extent where it's completely exactly what Baba says. So it's worth listening to that. The lot of research that has gone into trying to see how there is a correlation, and also there's mention of Saint Teresa of Avila, who was a contemporary of John of the Cross. In fact, I think John of the Cross lived and was under Saint Teresa of Avila. Yeah, so I was just reminded of that. Let's continue.
Yeah.
I think it is. You start from this, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Kartik, I was
I,
asking if you watched that video, the Christopher presentation. That was last Sunday.
No, I I
Or
I
did you
watched.
attend the meeting?
No, I didn't watch it live. I didn't see it live, but I listened to. It's a 2.5 hour presentation. I listened to half an hour. It popped up on my playlist yesterday, and I listened to, I think, more than half an hour, and I'm dying to get back to finish it. It was very good.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be interesting.
that's
Okay.
what you posted on the group.
I have not. I will. I
Yeah,
saw it
please.
only late last night. Late last night
Okay,
on my walk,
please send.
I discovered it, but it was gripping, to say the least.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll post it.
Baba, darling, since you want me to marry Nariman, I shall surely do so. But allow me also to explain what my heart holds. Oh, Baba, is it in my power to stop the flow of my heart in its own forceful, natural channel? If only human beings could make the heart do what one wishes to do, would there be any sufferings on the earth? Oh, Baba, I beg you, I beseech you to help me and make me do whatever you wish. Baba dear, why can't I love you only? Perhaps I am not so worthy as to love only you eternally. Happy will be the day when I shall have no other thoughts but of you. Baba dear, how I wish I could transfer all my love to you. Then I would not want anything on this earth. I would not even mind the sufferings that true love is bound to bring. Baba, my dearest of the dearests, it seems ages since I met you, though there is not a moment that is wide of the thought of you. Baba darling, when shall I have the opportunity of taking your darshan again? Life would not, life would have been an empty dream without you. Baba darling, you are the only one on earth who can understand a heart, and more beautifully so, a broken heart. Dear Baba, I am simply tired of life. Exhaustion is reigning in every tiny fiber of my nerves. Till I feel fresh again, how can I live, Baba? The dullness and disinterest that has gripped me so tight seems so difficult to remove. If you wish, you can help me out of it. Please, Baba, I don't want you to quit my suffering. No, that's not what I want. If you desire, let me sufferings be increased evermore. But I pray you to remove disinterest and exhaustion out of me. They are driving me more and more into a deep abyss. The only thing that has kept me up until now is that you are the one, the only one who understands me. My heart is known only by you, and that is enough for me to live on at present. Baba's reply to my suffering was loving but firm. Mehrabad, 1st
Okay,
July 19.
hold on 1 second. Let's reflect on this a little bit, if you guys don't mind. Um, See, do you see? Well, I can very much relate to Arnawaz, particularly on the point of disinterest and exhaustion. Um, so, do you see that the struggle that she's having? At some point, she wants to withdraw from the world and renounce the world. And for that, she needs the Baba's help. So she could love Baba more and more and think only of him. So her struggle is, if I want to love you more and more, well, she doesn't say it here, but where would Nariman fit in into this equation? You know, so she's, of course, she loves to obey Baba, but little by little, she's coming to term with that, it seems, um, with that. Yeah, it's a very interesting letter that she wrote, and she completely expressed herself and her
Yeah.
heart.
And she is very good in expressing her love for Baba. Very heart touching. But Baba knows much more deeper than anybody by themselves. So I'm thinking Baba needed her to marry uh, Chanji, not Chanji, Dadachanji. Yeah, Nariman. Nariman.
Nariman, Nariman.
Yeah, probably, for some reason, for her own good reason. Baba
Right.
wanted her to marry Nariman.
Yeah.
It's interesting, they both
My
have the same name.
guess, yeah, my guess, and it's only my guess, I we never asked her, is that, everything that the avatar or perfect master do, Baba talks about it, has certain significance for the universe and for us on earth, right? So I would think that as part of Baba's universal work that he came into body to accomplish before he drops his body was to work on marriages and people who get married and so forth. So he needed a model. He needed a model. For example, we read the subs and props, if you guys
Yes.
remember.
Yes.
Yeah. His emphasis on Ali, about Ali, wasn't so much the Ali. It was the work that he was getting done through Ali. Because once Ali left, he said, I want somebody just like him. And they kept on bringing another boy, another boy. He said, no, not him, not him, not him, not, like that. So this was a similar episode for Nariman and Arnawaz's marriage as well. It was part of Baba's universal work. Anyway.
Hmm.
I think I'm also reminded of Jane Adriel and her marriage, and so are so many other marriages. And like you said, Mahu, he was building on a model. So the model is what we read a couple of pages back, right? Be of the world, I mean, be in the world, but not of it, right? So it's a very simple statement, but it's not easy to put in practice. But that's the current need of this era, of this period, of this cycle of cycles. So, in his close proximity, he created so many vibrant examples of that balance, that exact thing that you were referring to, that balance between, not even balance, that supremacy of the love for the divine beloved, and yet maintaining the relationship with the worldly beloved in whatever way, to make sure that you are in the world and discharging your responsibilities as required, right? So I think he has created enough examples of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I must say
Yeah, this is
that
a,
that level
yeah,
of detachment, okay, because you need some level of detachment to live in the world, but not to be of it. Nothing
Yep.
makes sense to you anymore. It's just nothing has a meaning anymore because we kept on, for years, kept on attaching meaning to this. I am this, I am that, I'm doing this, that, that, that. But without his help, that's what I'm trying to say. Without his help on us and our consciousness, it would not be easy. I think this is as part of his work. And he knows our dilemma. Baba
Yeah, yeah,
knows
yeah.
our dilemma so well. That's why he says six wishes. The
Yes.
first one is attend faithfully to your responsibility. Do not shirk it. Because he
Perfect.
knows that it's a tendency to just leave everything behind and, come to live in samadhi, next to samadhi or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe this is an example that Baba sets in the discourse of sanctity of married life. So
Yes.
if you take this as an example and read the chapter, the life they had as married couple, probably understand would be much better. So as you rightly said, these are like guinea pigs to create such examples for people to relate.
Yeah, it's more than I mean, it's almost like
And
history will record
and
these people as important
yeah,
ideals or models, like to
yeah,
you borrow Mahu's word,
right.
for us to follow. Yeah.
And they were probably being used to give the general push to the whole humanity. We never know, these kinds of
Also, correct. Yeah.
yeah. So that's so. Anybody wants to read? There is few minutes to left. I mean, as
This
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can
morning,
Yeah.
read if you
long they
want.
had.
I can read.
I heard
Oh, I'm
another
sorry.
example of Baba's miracle, and I took it in a different way. The incident was this. There was a lady, husband died. She and her son came to the 62 East West gathering. She sat on the pandal, and then she had the darshan of Baba. And then she gets a thought. Baba goes in that car. How nice it would be if I can ride. Me and my son can ride in that car. And then at the end of the day, good enough, Baba tells somebody to take this lady and drop her off wherever in the car. And then that incident, the person was telling me, I think, reading someone's mind is not a big deal. Any third plane person can do that. It's not a big deal. But what I thought was, probably Baba must have instilled that thought in that lady. And that lady would think at that time, depends upon her own knowledge about God and all, how they work. She would own that thought. I had the thought of driving in the car. And here, suddenly, Baba tells somebody to drive her in Baba's car. That experience makes her feel, oh my God, he's God, he knows what I was thinking, and that must have made a big impact on her. But I was thinking probably Baba must have used that incident to give a push to that lady and the son. I think
Yeah, yeah.
that's
I
what.
mean, this is how he spreads his work. So when this lady got drawn to Baba, in the
Uh,
environment that she must have been living, her friends and colleagues and family all must
yeah,
have got impacted. So this is
right,
so we never
right.
know what impact does it has actually. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Ravi. I'm reminded of, I mean, all of us have such experiences, right? Where Baba does something that is totally unexpected. And in fact, in our ignorance, we don't even
Mm,
attribute it to Baba initially. And then oh my God, that's why that happened. Or that's why this episode happened. Or that's why this. Whatever happened at work or whatever. I'm sure if you sit and reflect, there are multiple reasons for it. But yeah, uh, not what is that? Tinka of grass. Not a single
mm.
strand of grass can move without his will. Yeah.
Without his will.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely, Karthik, the way we came in contact.
Absolutely. That's one example, right? In the
Yeah,
middle of nowhere, in Qatar. Here I am complaining about being disconnected from Baba, and in 10 days, Sanjay is my roommate. How do you explain that?
Karthik, I just wanted to also point out that there is this analogy of Mehra giving her sari and Mehra and Meera and Arnawaz. There is some, I mean, some reason why it is mentioned in this book. Definitely, there's some significance on that to think about. You know.
yeah.
Something to think about, surely.
Yes.
Okay, let's finish this chapter. We have about 1.5 to 2 pages. Let's finish that chapter. Mahu, you wanted to read.
Oops, I'm sorry. Yes, I can read.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is in Mehrabad, 1st July 1943. Dear Arnavaz, your letter made me happy for your expression of love, faith, and trust in me, but a bit sad also about the depressing situation you are in. You need not worry. I know everything. I don't blame you for anything, but I really would wish you to give definite loving response to Nariman. As for nursing, if you feel you must do it for helping your home people, sign another year's contract. But if your health makes you feel unable to cope with this, do not sign and do not worry. Love and blessings, dictated by Baba. This is clearly, it says that, it's Baba's work. He wants to get work done. Within a month, my own problems were overshadowed when my brother Tehamtan developed typhoid fever. We took him to the hospital where Goher was studying to be a doctor because we wanted to be sure he would receive good care. 2 weeks later, it seems that he had nearly recovered, and the doctor said he could go home soon. The very next day, however, he suffered a severe relapse, and after 3 days, he died. My mother was shattered. It was the first death in our immediate family, and Tehampton was her first born son. Just a few months earlier, Tahamtan had decided not to continue with his schooling. He was only in the 7th standard, and my parents and I were worried about his future, wondering what he would do without an education. In those days, Baba expected us to write him about our problems. So I sent a letter telling him of Tahamtan's decision and our concerns. Baba sent a reply saying, "Don't worry, let Tahamtan leave school and not study further." When Tahamtan died, we understood the reason for Baba's answer to my letter. We all loved Tahamtan very much, and Baba. Baba, knowing how distressed we were, called us to Pune the following week for his darshan. For his darshan. When my mother saw Baba, she cried her heart out, and he consoled her with a long, loving embrace. Greatly comforted, she said, "Baba, can I ask you something?" Baba nodded. Tahamtan's horoscope indicated that his lifespan was 70 years and that he would be a prominent doctor or engineer. How is it that he died at 17? Baba told her gently, he would have lived that long, but his life was so miserable that I finished it in 17 years. He looked at my mother and asked, "Would you have liked to see Tahamtan miserable?" My mother, with tears in her eyes, said, "No, Baba." She was relieved by Baba's words and felt more peaceful. Knowing that what beloved Baba had done was best for Tahamtan, she could accept his will despite the pain of her loss. When we were taking our leave, my mother asked Baba when he would come to Bombay. 4 years earlier, in 1939, he had said that he would not come to Bombay for a very long time. This time, Baba replied, "I will come when Nariman and Arnawaz have their own home." Baba is working on it. After a short leave following Tahamtan's death in August, I resumed my nursing duties, but in September I fell and sprained my ankle and was unable to continue working. It wasn't a simple sprain. The doctor fitted me with a special type of shoe and advised me not to be on my feet for at least 6 months. Even though my contract would not expire for another 3 months, I was released from my obligations and I didn't know when or if I would sign another contract. One more career had suddenly ended. In less than a year, I had become engaged. My brother had died and I was no longer working. Baba was changing my life, preparing me for the role he wished me to play in the world through these first difficult lessons in detachment. Seeking to fill my days while my ankle was healing, I thought about learning to play the sitar. Whenever I heard the sound of this instrument, I felt as if my heartstrings were being played. I would become lost in the music, which consoled me. My father was not at all enthusiastic about the idea, and he told me first to write Baba and ask his permission. My father's objection to my learning the sitar came from an experience he had as a young man. A good musician himself, he loved classical Indian music and played the harmonium, dilruba, and violin. He had wanted to learn the sitar, but his mother had tried to dissuade him because of an old folk belief that playing this instrument might bring ill fortune. Finally, however, he convinced her that she was just being superstitious, and he purchased a sitar. He placed his new instrument in a corner only to find two strings broken when he picked it up the next day. Though my father repaired them, the following day he discovered that all the strings had snapped. He wondered if perhaps there was something to his mother's not wanting him to play this particular instrument. Although he was not superstitious, he returned the sitar to the dealer. When I showed an interest in learning to play this instrument, naturally my father thought it best to ask Baba first. He also instructed me to ask whether or not I should learn to drive Nariman's new car. Baba's reply to my letter was, "You should not learn the sitar, and you should not learn driving." I did not understand then why I should not learn to drive, but I realized that playing the sitar would have distracted me from the life in the world beloved Baba had planned for me.
Yeah, I think that ends chapter 8. So it's a good logical point for wrapping our wrapping up our read for the day. But beautiful. I think these personal accounts have been I mean, we've all read personal accounts from the past. We've heard stories in live sessions, and each one of us, I'm sure, take away personal things from these experiences. And again, to borrow Mahu's word, it's all a model. It's a model that's set up by Baba in many of the books that we've read till now. Baba forced the writing of these chronicles, these books. So he also wanted to make an example of it. So, in that sense, we should absorb what we can get out of these and live the way Baba wants us to live.
By the way, one more thing, just now that you were talking, I was reminded that, uh, after, of course, Arnawaz lived in Mehrazad for a long time till he died, or till she died. But during this time that she was living in Mehrazad and pilgrims were going there and visit, um, she was the one of the best advisors in regard to marriage life. Can you believe that?
Hmm.
It was pretty known among pilgrims that Narimans would help. I'm sorry, Arnavas would help them. So they would usually take their dilemma or whatever issue that they had to Arnavas, and Arnavas
Interesting.
sit down and yeah, it was. If you talk to anyone, say, "Oh, Arnavas was in charge of consoling the marriage," and it was definitely like that. Yeah, yeah. So, who knows? Yeah, maybe Baba was making her ready so she could actually contribute to others. Because
Yeah.
he,
She is
he
one.
knows what our dilemmas are. I mean, just looking around and all these marriages have issues and da. You know, Baba knew in advance that the humanity needs those kind of help. So anyway.
I think,
Yeah, Ravi.
yeah, she is. I think Baba did work through her. That's what I feel. I read this book a couple of times before. Well, one time for sure. Second time here and there. Uh, but I think she was in circle. She was in Baba circle, and it's interesting how she found out that she was in circle. Uh, that was an interesting story. For pleader, Baba gives all the names of the circle members, 12, and he wrote with a pencil on 12 different papers, it seems. And then he rolled each paper tied with a small thread or something and gave it to pleader. And he to Baba told pleader, don't reveal, don't show this to anybody. And Baba pleader, but Peter had to tell Baidul if his name was there or not when he was visiting, because Baba never told, don't tell anybody, but don't show this to anybody. And then Pleader passed away, and these rules were, Pleader used to stay with Merwan Merchant. You guys remember? Any of you remember?
Yes, I know Merwan Merchant. Well, he actually stayed in my house for 10 days. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in
Merwan
close contact
Merchant's
with Pleader.
parents were, his father was Rustam. Baba gave this name, Merwan Merchant. Actually, he was Merwan S. Irani. Same like same like name like Baba, but Baba changed his name to Merchant. His father was Rustam, and mother was Khorshid, different Khorshid, not these Khorshids that we know. And after Plato passed away, it seems the Khorshid was curious, and Arnawaz visited their family, and he was curious to know if she was there in the circle. So this Khorshid opened all those rolls and read all the names until they found Arnawaz's name somewhere in the middle. Uh, so that's how Arnawaz came to know that she was in the circle. And to their another point that they revealed was, to their amazement, that Mehra and Mani were not there in that circle.
How is it
That was.
possible? I would
Uh,
imagine when you say circle, Ravi, is those, you know, those 10 circle of 12 members that Ronu Gali actually did the painting.
yeah, the first circle you're
So
talking about, the closest, right?
yeah, the closest is the one, the 12 that we know, plus the two appendages, which is Mera and
Right.
Mani. But
No, no, no,
I
no, no.
would,
See, this is what I'll
huh,
tell you, Moho. So
sure.
in the Baba used to come to the office, right, to the Mandali Hall in Maharajad, and the discussion came, and all the Mandali assumed the first circle appendages are Mani and Mehra, but nobody asked him, is it Mehra or Mani? But Baba said, whoever you are thinking are not those people. That's what Baba said, it seems.
Interesting.
So the
Yeah.
Mehra and the Mani were not there in the circle. Yurich was not
Hmm.
there. Bhau Kalchari was not there. Baidul was there. Who else was there? Arnavaz. That's about it.
See, those circle, Robbie, I would think that's the circle that we also read it in discourses. They're about 120. They're
122.
about
Yeah.
100. Yeah, with two women, you're right. It's
Right.
122. So even I remember Bao used to tell a few others that I knew of. He says, oh, she's part of the circle too. So there was a lot of people that we knew, and most of them are gone now. They were part of the circle, this 122 circle.
Hmm.
So anyway, who knows? Baba knows
Yeah.
better, and it really doesn't
Baba
impact us
revealed
anyway.
to some people who Baba did reveal who are circles for some people. I believe William Dawkins
Yeah.
he told, and
Yeah.
I know for sure Harry Kenmore was in the circle. Baba told him that. I read his
Yeah.
book.
Harry Kenmore
Harry
was.
Kenmore.
This reminds me of it's actually in Lord Meher. You know that devotee of Baba Hushang Brucha? Remember Dr.
Husham
Brucha?
Yeah,
Baja, yeah.
Barucha, Barucha.
Yeah, Dr. Brucha, he was on fire for Baba, of course. So he would just come to Baba, and he was very curious that who would be the next five perfect masters. Okay.
Hmm.
And because the current perfect masters that they brought Baba down and made him avatar, it's pretty public now and everybody knew about it. But he was curious, like who will take their position, because the moment one body drops, they're waiting in line, another one take over without a second delay.
Hmm.
So Baba wrote the names and on a piece of paper, gave it to him. I said, don't open it. I tell this to you, but do not open it. And I don't
Hmm.
remember the rest of it. But he was not supposed to know. Either he was not supposed to distribute those names, or anyway, something that Baba said, keep it in secret. But Baba told Hushain Brucha what the next five perfect masters, who the
Hmm.
next five perfect masters are.
I think he
Yeah.
told Barucha. Barucha was asking. I think I read somewhere a long time ago. Baba did not tell the names, but he told one in the north, one in the middle of the country, and one in the south. That is what he had told Barucha, if
Yeah.
I remember right. But he
Yeah.
never revealed the
You're
names for
right.
the people. Yeah.
That part is still in when he wrote on paper. I read it in Lord Meher, but I don't know with its new revised one that it's online. Maybe it doesn't come. But yes, you're right. The very same place he mentioned where they are located:
Hmm.
north, south, and central. Yeah, these three he mentioned. Yeah,
But
but
Barucha
they're
was a
all in
strange.
India. They're all
Yeah,
in
they're all in
India.
India. Correct. Right.
All
Right.
five perfect masters are in India. That we know. Anyway.
Okay.
Barucha was notorious to go after different gurus. You know that, right?
Oh, I did not know
Yeah,
that. Interesting.
Oh yeah, he would go to every guru. If he finds any guru, he would go to that guru
Okay.
instead of
that
being a
happens
Baba's
to a lot
lover.
of seekers. That happened to a lot of seekers. But once they meet
Yeah.
Baba, they can't leave him and go to anybody else. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another trivia is that Arnawaz Samadhi is in Merazat, right?
Yeah. Right.
Just outside
Yes.
Baba's room. So she's the only
Kakabaria.
one.
Kabir Kakabaria and Arnavas.
Takabari also, okay. So Arnawaz, I
Yeah.
remember just outside Baba's room. Yeah.
I think they
Yes.
own the place. I think it is in their names.
Okay.
Arnavas and
Yeah.
Nariman's names. The Maharajat property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mira's property was Dadachanji's. They were owners and they donated that. They gave that as a
Yeah.
gift to
Yeah.
Baba. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were coming from a very wealthy family. That's what I heard. Anyway, so we can sit here and talk and talk and talk.
Yes, so let's wrap up here. Look
Okay.
forward to seeing you all for discourses tomorrow. And have a blessed Babaful weekend. And those of you celebrating Eid, Eid Mubarak, and have a good one.
Jai
Thank
Jai
Baba.
you.
Baba to
Thank you.
everyone.
Jai
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 Baba.
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 Jai
Jai Baba
Baba.
Karthik.
It was
Jai
Jai.
great.
Baba.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Jai Baba. Love you. Baba.